Friday. I'm Andrew Beach, Executive Career Coach. I help professionals communicate their value to find great new jobs faster. That's whether you're working or not. That's through branded networking and direct communication of your skills to the hiring team. Wanted to welcome you here today. I need to post this on my LinkedIn profile, so bear with me as I look through the postings here on my YouTube channel, and I'll go ahead and share that on LinkedIn. You can go ahead and access the chat, and I'll say welcome. Make sure that you use the hashtag RedQuorama. Ask me anything regarding career coaching, resume, interviewing, branding, networking, whatever it is. Go ahead and leave that question in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on today's session. I have a number of things that I'm thinking about today, and a number of, how would you say it, themes that I'm seeing with the folks that I'm coaching professionally. And what that is I'm seeing people that are really talking about fitting a box. And part of that is, hey, I'm live now. I'm going to my LinkedIn on YouTube. Join me for happy hour. All right, let's see if this works. Link preview. Hey, it's previewing. Post. Boom. All right, so I'm up on YouTube. That's good news. All right, so what I'm finding is that there's a lot of people that are feeling like they have to fit a box. What does that mean? That means that they're taking the requisition, the job posting they're seeing online, and they're saying to themselves, how do I fit that box? That can create some challenges. Now, we have been talking a lot here recently with our clients about, this is my box. Where do I fit in the organization? That's a little bit different. So we're trying to really encourage you to flip the script. Flip this around and say to yourself, this is my box. This is what I stand for. This is what I enjoy. Now, it's okay to put yourself in a box as long as it's a box of your own making. So choose your box, understand this is who you are, and then go and find organizations that need what your box has to offer. That's a sales process, and a lot of people are apprehensive to do that. That's why I've created a free resource for you, by the way, called the Networking Checklist. You can go to my website. There's a resources section. It's andrewbeach.com/resources. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in there, but there's specifically a networking checklist that will help simplify and optimize your networking conversations to get your box in front of the employers in a way that isn't slimy or salesy. And so I think that's a really good resource for everybody to take advantage of. But it's been a great week here in Portland. I think we turned on our air conditioning for the first time 3 days in a row. It was over 90 degrees. And really, we need to check in on antics with Avery. And I can see her actually over my shoulder here, my my Jack Russell Terrier. She's only like 9 months old. And she's actually chewing her bed. And literally, there's chew toys all around her bed. But she's chewing her bed because I'm ignoring her. So I'm going to go say hi to her really quick. Here, I'll actually bring her up to you guys so you can see. She's for real. Does everybody see? Say hi. Say hi, Avery. This is my Jack Russell Terrier, Avery. Say hi. She likes to chew everything, so I need to find her something to chew on. There you go. Chew on that. There you go. Good girl. Now, just by the way, the last thing I had her chew on was this rope, right? Looks really tough. Well, here's the other end of that rope. And yes, she is tiny, but she sure has a strong mouth. So I'm going to let her chew on that because otherwise she's going to chew on her bed. And I don't want her chewing on her bed. Anyway, so that's Antics with Avery. We got her started in some obedience classes. Those start on Monday. We'll see how it goes. So the next thing on the agenda today is I had a conversation with a specific individual this week. I'll protect his privacy and not mention any names. But literally, he had gone through everything. He tried and paid for career coaching. He had tried and paid for resume writing. He had had interviews, and he's been now looking for a year and not found anything. Okay. Now, he did have a long tenure at one company, so the first thing to recognize is even if you've had a long tenure at one company, it's not uncommon that you're still going to get a tap on the shoulder. Do you want to leave early? Right? Do you want early out? Hey, it's the last day of school here in Oregon. For our kids, it's the last day of school. So they're home, they're excited, summer is starting. That's kind of the feeling that many people think they should have when their employer comes and taps them on the shoulder. Hey, it's time for you to go. I think that it's hard then to make that transition. So even if you've been at a company for a long time, you really love your role, the only advice that many of the people that I've coached and run into that have been part of a reduction in force benefited from was this advice. Always be networking. Always be keeping your connections active. Always be open to opportunities. Stay connected with people, because when that day comes, when you have a choice to make, whether you stay, whether you go, whether you retire or not, or take a nonprofit opportunity, always keep your network active. So this gentleman, he had tried everything, and I ran through all of the things, the diagnostic questions that I ask most of my career coaching clients, and I came up with a blank. The only wild card, the only variable that I encouraged him to take a look at was conversion rates. What is your conversion rate from, say, applications to interviews or phone screens? Okay. And he was probably 1 or 2 out of 50, which isn't so bad, but that's not great. And I said, well, what about networking? I mean, he said he was applying to 3 to 5 jobs a week, which is pretty good. So 3 to 5 jobs a week. I said, okay, well, how many networking interactions are you having in a given week? He said, well, 1, maybe. I said, okay. So this is where we need to make an adjustment. And so just make sure you track your numbers. So if you're in a process, whether you're working or not, you need to convert those conversations into tangible next steps, which would be an interview or an application of some kind or creation of a position. Whatever it is, make sure that you're always looking for what the next step is in that conversation, and setting that up in advance is always a good idea. Knowing that when you walk into a networking interaction that you know what the outcome is supposed to be is so much more fruitful for you and for the other party. So this gentleman had tried everything, he'd paid for everything, and all I could offer him was some free advice. And that was, understand who you are first, right? Approach the marketplace in a direct, pragmatic way, and do branded networking to get to the right hiring managers. And, what I felt from him, and it's funny because there's lots of people that, in fact, I had a client just text me saying, hey, they took my badge. I thought it was hilarious. She was in a very challenging situation. Her company was in turmoil. Her leadership was, let's say, impotent. And she just was not in a healthy environment. And so if I was to compare her experience and this gentleman who had long tenure, maybe didn't really have to work, I can see there wasn't much leverage. There wasn't a situation that said, okay, I have a need to be somewhere for some reason, versus I don't have any reason to be anywhere other than I would like to go back to work. And so there wasn't any financial, there might have been a looming financial situation on this side, but on this side, there was definitely, hey, if I don't get another job before I leave this place, I'm in a bad space. So there was a lot more leverage and motivation on this side than there was on the other side. So just recognize if you're going after something, it's so much more fun, exciting, motivating, enthusing if you're chasing something that matters to you. And so first identify who you are, what you want to do next, and then go approach those hiring teams with your box, okay? And we have a whole system, a process. If you're interested, you can just go to the website and send me a message. If you want to get engaged in a coaching program, that's up to you. I do these so I can answer your questions. So if you can just put those in the chat, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know where you're joining from or where you're watching from if you're watching the replay. So the next thing is the podcast. We just edited the podcast this week, and Scott and I did a an episode on building trust with hiring teams. And what we came down to is, as a common denominator of success across the board with most every successful candidate that gets hired, is they in some way had built some kind of trust with the hiring team during the hiring process. And the longer and more connected you are to that trust building process, the higher the probability of success for you to actually get to where you want to go. Okay. So I'd encourage you, I think that's episode 48. So that would be jobseekersradio.com. In fact, I'll put that in the chat. jobseekersradio.com/048. And congratulations to Scott and me. I guess we've been doing this for a little over a year. And so we're kind of hitting a milestone. The first year in a podcast typically is ramping up. And we appreciate everybody that's given us a share, a listen, a like, even a rate and review. If you could do that for us, we'd greatly appreciate it. Maybe even share it with somebody that you care about, that you think might benefit from improving their world professionally and being an agent of their own change. Boy, she's going to town on that rope. Anyhow, so we got the free resource. We got the podcast. If there's any questions that you have, please go ahead and leave those in the chat or on the replay. I'm happy to answer anything that you have questions about related to career search, getting promoted, finding the right job, finding what you're meant to do, finding your purpose. All those things are things that I can help with. So thanks again for joining me. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And just have a great weekend. Enjoy it. It's getting into summer, and we just love this time of year. All right. So take care. Be well.